More than any country on the planet, America has treated women fairly.
As a man who still clings to the title of journalist, Jason Whitlock does not check his own facts and starts off his video with falsehoods.
They're not victims of an exploitive patriarchal tradition. American men led the world in granting freedom and autonomy to women.
It should surprise no one. This is the strategy from Whitlock, who has failed at previous stops, ESPN, FS1, and Outkick the coverage.
Men pretending to be women is not something that helps society.
Attack human beings and play up strong male dominance, akin to Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, who spoke out on what it takes to be a man. What it takes to be a man.
The corporate media cast him as a misogynist that, is inspiring, misleading, discipling these young, angry men all over the world to be, because I think he's got 4 or 5 million TikTok followers, or had 4 or 5 million TikTok followers.
He said this of Andrew Tate: kissed Donald Trump's ass in an embarrassing interview that put his journalist credentials to bed.
Blood in, blood out. Trump in, Trump out. As secular nationalism becomes more and more in vogue, that's going to naturally lead to the emasculation of men.
And spouts this, which is a theme. Thus, he set the stage for his latest pitiful piece of content.
Feminists have taken advantage of man's instinct to please women, casting themselves as long-suffering victims of male supremacy, and reshaped American society into a culture that favors the weaker gender.
This is no BS. It is categorically insane to put something out like this. But do we expect anything less from Jason Whitlock, who is employed by Glenn Beck, this guy?
Who needs to learn what here? This president, I think, has exposed himself as a guy over and over and over again who has a deep-seated hatred for white people.
What is it that Barack Obama knows that he won't even bother to meet with the guy to hear him out? Well, until, he changed his mind a couple of days later. He's a white CEO.
I'm sure, no offense to India, I'm sure it's beautiful and everything. I've heard, especially this time of year, especially by the, that one big river they have there that sounds like a disease. Come on, it does. I mean, if somebody said, I'm sorry, you have a really bad case of Ganges,
then Jesus would have come back from the dead and made the Jews pay for what they did.
All of this to say, Whitlock's misogyny was used to spearhead this.
I complained via Twitter that ESPN spent the first 6 minutes of SportsCenter showcasing 2 women's college basketball games.
Let's pause for a moment. He would tweet the following: ESPN SportsCenter just led tonight's episode with 2 stories on women's college basketball. The first 6 minutes of regular season Big Ten and SEC game. Who is paying for this? What percentage of sports fans does this serve?
Is my soul dark? Perhaps.
Media member Christina Williams, who covers women's sports and has seen how far behind the 8 ball the space is because of folks like Jason Whitlock, tweeted simply, "You're pathetic."
ESPN's self-stated mission is serving sports fans anytime, anywhere. ESPN did not lead SportsCenter with women's college basketball as a service to sports fans. The network was servicing the feminist agenda.
I mean, I'm sorry. I gotta give him credit, though. I do. For a guy who is as goofy, or should I say clownish, as Jason Whitlock is, he will find any way to get mad at anything at any time. Lauren Smith, an associate professor of sports media at Indiana University, would cite a study from the National Research Group, which found 30% of respondents say they're watching more women's sports than they were 5 years ago. The number one reason for growth: there are more women's sports being broadcast. In the past few years alone, what Whitlock intentionally leaves out is a report from one audience analytics company, which found viewership for all rounds of women's March Madness ballooned by 81% compared to 18% growth for the men's NCAA tourney. The WNBA Finals saw a huge 171% surge in viewership for Game 1 to 1.1 million households. That compared favorably to the men's Game 1, which was a 25% jump in viewership Though again, the men drew way more viewers, of course. The NWSL, coming from the smallest base, saw the biggest gain for its championship game, up an astonishing 453%. It undoubtedly, and unfortunately, was likely helped by headlines all year detailing scandals in the league, but still that pushed viewership to a pace well ahead of men's soccer growth. The MLS Cup grew 15%. Notes the report, women's sports are drawing in younger, more affluent viewers from every corner of the nation. Indeed, 39% of Gen Z sports fans say they're watching more women's sports than they were a year ago. Gen Z. That is who Republicans are trying to reach in order to win elections, because they are going to continue to get smoked if they put out these messages, showing that they don't care. Jason Whitlock is a hardcore Trumpian Republican who is 55 years old. He is 55 years old. However, on a serious note, if his mind is made up to push a narrative that is solely derived to reach the base of MAGA voters, predominantly consisting of white males who are incredibly fragile in today's society, to peddle in the women's sports aren't sports, coupled with the newly sprung movement of male dominance is flat out dangerous, he is being dangerous. He is allowing himself to be used. And as one former ESPN colleague put it, after Jason Whitlock's despicable analysis on Fox News to Tucker Carlson in wake of the body cam footage being released from Memphis, Tennessee, he's going to continue to go lower. And he'll go lower and lower and lower. For Whitlock, women's sports don't mean a damn thing. They don't mean to him.
We want to talk about all this black girl magic. This right here is black girl tragic. From Gwen Berry to Simone Biles.
Sherry Richardson.
Sha'Carri Richardson, yeah. She's oh my God. This whole damn Olympics now, I'm just thinking about it.
My mama died 6 years ago.
Has been defined by angry black women who can't follow the rules and then allow all their handlers to wrap them in victimhood.
Then he doubles down with the bullhorns.
We have radicalized a group of young people. We've done that to our own people, black and white, but you're seeing it pronounced in sports. These black athletes that have been radicalized and made to hate their country.
There is no doubt that men's sports dominate the coverage. But what this man does not understand is, from a business standpoint, he is so wrong. He doesn't cite analytics. He doesn't follow the progression of modern day sports. He is going off of tactfully, artificially strategizing what will reach his audience that watches his content. That is all that he is doing, which is peddling in falsehoods. This pivot that he has made has allotted him opportunities to be used, and thus getting speaking engagements with Turning Point USA and going on Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson's show on Fox News. As Smith notes, Whitlock was peeved when women's sports received 6 minutes of coverage. 6 minutes. Sports are not just about building strong men. It's about building strong men and women. Women who participate in sports reap a multitude of benefits socially, personally, and academically. Women have always been strong. Women will continue to be strong, even as their accomplishments and achievements are put down, simply because they are women. From that 6 minutes, women were basically told to sit down, shut up, and know their role. The gaslighting of women being told that they have it good in the States, that they've never been mistreated as they are repeatedly insulted or seen as less than, and that developing a strong woman has become a priority over developing strong men. Phew. That 6 minutes must be devastating if it unleashed so much upset and anger. You know what I typically do if I see sports coverage I don't care about? I move on with my day. If you are this upset by 6 minutes of coverage, you probably shouldn't be calling women the weaker sex.